What's up everybody? Welcome to headphone.ph YouTube channel, and today we have another headphone for review. This is the Hifiman Deva open back planar magnetic headphone. Let's go check it out. Before we begin this review, a big shout out to Hifiman for sending over this headphone for review. My opinion in this review is not influenced by them in any way, shape, or form, and everything that I'm saying here is based on my experience with this headphone and with other headphones as well. So the Deva is a full-size open back planar magnetic headphone that retails for $299. There is a wired-only variant of this that doesn't come with the wireless adapter, and that one costs $219. So this headphone is kind of a unique one in that it's an open headphone that is clearly geared towards home use with its size and just the type of headphone that it is. But it has a wireless dongle, a Bluetooth adapter that allows you to use the headphone wirelessly. I don't think I've seen any headphones like that. We'll get into that a little later. But for now, let's get into the packaging real quick. It comes in this fairly average cardboard box. Not a lot of accessories, but inside there is a nice padding here that you can put your headphone. If you're not going to be using it, it acts as a storage case. It comes with a couple of accessories aside from the blue mini adapter. It comes with an audio cable that is fairly long and thick, but it's not stiff, which I like. And then there is a charging cable for USB, which can also be used to listen to the device via USB, and a 1/4-inch adapter as well. So let's talk a little bit about this blue mini device here. So this one, as I said, allows your headphone to be used wirelessly via Bluetooth. You basically just plug this into the left ear cup of the headphone and press the button, and it'll pair it with any device. The other use of this is actually through USB listening. So this is USB-C. The cable included is USB-C to USB-A, and if you plug this into the headphone and then plug in the cable here into your computer, you'll be able to listen to the headphone through USB. So, and that utilizes the built-in amplifier and DAC that is in this little thing as well. Now, as neat as this is purely an adapter. It doesn't rival the Bluetooth functionality of other true wireless headphones. It doesn't have any volume controls. You cannot really skip tracks with it. All you can do is play, pause, and that's about it with this one. In my experience, the battery of the dongle is quite poor. So using this headphone as my main work from home headphone for the past couple of weeks, I can pretty much kill it in a day. So I would say the average battery life for Bluetooth use is 6 to 8 hours, while the USB mode is even less at 4 to 5 hours, which is understandable because there's an amp here that needs to be powered. The headphone itself is not efficient, so that takes quite a bit of power as well, resulting to like overall poor battery life. I imagine Hifiman trying to find the middle ground with this one. Obviously, this one's pretty chunky in its own already, so if they put a bigger battery, it would have been the size of this would easily increase, which would make it more inconvenient to use. In terms of the construction of this headphone, I think it is nicely constructed. There's a mixture of aluminum and plastic in this part here. But overall, it's very rigid. It feels very well built. The padding here at the top and in the ear pads are both synthetic leather, but they are quite thick. So as you can see, it makes it a chunky looking headphone with the thick padding and the cups here. The cups, I don't know if you can see, but it's sort of angled, so it's not like a straight. It doesn't have a straight line here. And I think what it does is it sort of helps give the headphone a wider or more spacious soundstage. The headphone is very light at 360 grams, and so this is definitely one of those headphones that when you wear them, you can literally forget about them because they are light and comfortable as well. As for the overall aesthetics, it's a decent looking headphone. I think the color scheme is not really my thing. I see some people maybe liking this kind of color, but all in all, I like the fact that it has like circular ear cups as opposed to the egg shape of the higher end Hifiman models. And really, it's a overall, the construction and the overall look of the headphone is decent. And you may have guessed it, this is a very comfortable headphone. So it's light, as I said, but the ample cushion gives your head and ears perfect weight distribution. So even though this one is a little stiff, the headphone is light, so it doesn't really press. I don't really feel there's a hot spot at the top of my head. If there's any small nitpicks that I have, it's probably the fact that the opening here is rounded, so it's not as natural feeling as like ear cups or ear pads that are like more contoured to the shape of your ears. As an open headphone, this does not have any noise isolation, and definitely it leaks a lot of sound. So I have quite a bit of I have some open headphones as well, but I think this one leaks the most sound among my collection. Moving on to the sound, this headphone has a neutral-ish type of signature that has some warmth in its character and some sparkle up top. So it has some similarities to the Hifiman HE400S and 400i. Those are mid-tier headphones from Hifiman back in the day, and definitely there are some similarities to like the overall tonal balance. But the one thing that I like about this headphone is it's going for a neutral signature, but it's not boring or lifeless sounding. So the bass it doesn't like really extend that well into the sub bass, but it has a good amount of punch. There's definitely an accentuation in the mid bass and upper bass, and while the punch is good, I think that there is some softness or looseness to its like bass character. There's a slight bleed in the lower mids that sort of warms things up. Not a lot, just enough in my opinion, and the mid range moving up towards to the higher frequencies are fairly even before it rolls off a bit before it drops a little in the upper mid-range. Mids is okay for the most part. It's fairly flat. There is a good body that prevents the headphone from sounding too lean, which often is the case with headphones that have this neutral signature. So yeah, the mid-range is flat before sloping down a little in the upper mid-range area. So for me, it's not that big of an issue. However, some harmonics are subdued a little because of that dip in the upper mid-range, resulting to instrument tones that are a little softer than I'd like sometimes. However, it's not that big of a deal. Like in most of the music that I'm listening to, it really isn't a problem personally. It goes back up in the lower treble, and like it wiggles quite a bit more in the whole treble department compared to the other frequencies. I would say the treble character of this is quite refined, especially for a wireless headphone. There is some splashiness and some like sparkle, but I don't think it still sits lower in the frequency response, so it's not fatiguing or sibilant or harsh. So I never found this to be fatiguing listening to it for a long period of time. And overall, I'm gonna give the treble frequency of this headphone a passing mark, because it still has that nice refinement, and it doesn't get harsh or is not overly soft. It does lack top air, like the higher frequencies above 10 kilohertz, but I don't think that's that big of a problem, especially for a headphone of this type. The advantage of that is it doesn't sound shrill or harsh sometimes like the HE400i does. And for me, comparing this side by side with that, this definitely has a better overall balance and like better refinement in the upper frequencies compared to the 400i. Soundstage is pretty good. There is a decent width with this headphone, like the spaciousness is very good. The center image is a little closer than what I would think is right, so it sort of gives that like 3 blob effect at times where there's like a far right, far left, and then a center image that is quite strong. However, for an open headphone, I think this has a wide soundstage, definitely wider than the significantly more expensive focal clear, and like definitely compared to closed headphones. Imaging is pretty decent as well. It's comparable to HE400i, but because it's less harsh sounding than that headphone, I feel like you're able to pick instruments slightly better with the Deva. So one weakness of this headphone is it's inefficient. So you can use the provided audio cable and listen to it through your smartphone device, but it's not gonna give you that, aside from the volume not getting as loud as probably you'd like, the sound is also not as open as if you're using it via Bluetooth or through USB. So definitely, if you are planning to use this wired, you need to have an amplifier so that you can drive some more power to this headphone. Quick sound comparison between all modes. I find that the USB mode I find that mode to be the most refined in terms of like sound quality. So with the Bluetooth mode, I find that the bass gets a little looser. It sort of like lacks a little tightness compared to when you're using this through USB. The soundstage also, when using it through USB, is slightly better than with the wireless mode. But then again, the difference between the three modes are very, very small. So I don't think that's, perhaps the wired mode, if you're not using an amplifier, is most notably inferior compared to the other two. But all in all, the sound signature of the three modes don't really differ that much from each other. Now, in my review of the Drop THX Panda, I called it the best sounding wireless headphone that I've heard. And I don't know if that can be compared to this one, because this one's an open headphone and this one's not a true wireless headphone. It has a dongle that makes it a wireless headphone. But if I'm gonna compare the sound, like the wireless sound, this one is to me better. The Drop Panda has better bass extension, perhaps more punchy, but the overall detail retrieval of that, the treble frequencies, the imaging are inferior compared to this one. And perhaps it's not a fair comparison because this is an open headphone and that's a closed headphone. So definitely, if I just want to listen to music in a quiet environment and have to choose between all wireless headphones, I would definitely pick this over the Drop THX Panda. So I personally enjoyed my time with the Hifiman Deva headphone, but who is gonna benefit from a headphone of this type? So for me, I think if you're a budding audiophile and you're looking to get your first open headphone and continue your journey, and the price range is around this, like $299 to $340, you've got to ask yourself if the convenience of having a wireless option is important, because if it is, then this headphone gets strongly recommended. It gets my strong recommendation. If not, and if you're just looking for a wired headphone, I think that the value of this diminishes quite a bit. So the Hifiman Deva, which is slightly more expensive than this one, and which I have not heard personally, is better based on like the reviews that I've seen. That one's just $50 more expensive than this, has a better overall sound, perhaps better like styling, but it doesn't have the wireless capabilities. Other headphones within the same price range that I can recommend are the Sennheiser HDX 6XX, the Hifiman HE5XX. Both are Drop collaborations. And then there's also the Biodynamic DT880, which is around this, probably cheaper than this headphone. And then there's the mid-tier old Hifiman that I mentioned, the HE400i and HE400s. If you're looking for the best possible sound from a wireless headphone, again, this is not a true wireless headphone, but if you don't mind the use of a dongle like this to make it a wireless headphone, then this is highly recommended. There are better headphones than this, namely the Hifiman Ananda, which is significantly more expensive than this. Some people say the Odyssey Mobius is also a good sounding headphone. I have not heard that, so I cannot really comment on that. But so far with this type of headphone, the wireless headphones, I think this is the best that I've heard, and definitely better than the Drop THX Panda. So in the end, I wouldn't call the Deva a value king by any means. This headphone, I think, is a good buy for those that are looking to have that flexibility of wireless use. So if you see yourself using this at home for 50% of the time, then this is probably a good buy for you. However, if you are looking just for the best possible sound at this price range, then there's a lot of other better options that I mentioned earlier. Also, there's again a wired version of this that is $60 cheaper. So if you really like this headphone but don't want to use the wireless dongle, then you can just opt for a wired version, which costs $219. So that's it for this review of the Hifiman Deva Open headphone. Have you tried this headphone yet? Are you planning to get this headphone? I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section below. Thumbs up the video if you like it, subscribe for more headphone.ph video reviews, and visit headphone.ph for the text version of this review. I'll see you guys soon.